Hi, everybody. I'm John. I'm the creative director of the Oatly Department of Mind Control. That's the creative department at Oatly. In case you don't know, well, you do now, but in case you didn't know, we make something called oat milk. Oat milk. It's milk made from oats. And we've been making oat milk for like 30 years, like when it was way uncool to be making oat milk. Like the only people who were drinking oat milk were those who were lactose intolerant and those who happened to be vegan. And it all changed when my friend, Tony Peterson, became CEO of the company. And we found a way to explain what the hell oat milk was. It's like you just take oats and then you make a milk from it, instead of taking oats and using the cow's body as a pre-processing plant to make your oats. And we also found this really simple way to explain what it was. It's like milk, but made for humans, because everyone knows that cow's milk is actually made for baby cows. This, of course, didn't go over so well with the evil Swedish milk lobby. In case you didn't know, it's kind of like the gun lobby in the US. They basically control everything. So what they did immediately was say, all right, guys, we're going to sue you. Because that's what bullies do. They sue you. 134 pages, 172 pages. And there were a lot of things they didn't like about everything we were saying, but mostly they didn't like this one because they thought it was a bit misleading that the illustrations showed that milk comes from the cow's ass and not actually where it came from. And they thought that this made them feel a little bit outdated, like humans don't need milk, old-fashioned outdated, which it does because milk is outdated. What they didn't know is we only had one strategic document in the entire company, and that was this one. If you're going to take something that no one knows, oat milk, and you're going to make it famous, then you need to divide the world into quadrants, which is good and evil, and then everyone's scared shitless. Everyone probably working here is scared of something. And so we thought, well, let's just be good and totally fucking fearless, like Monsanto, but good. And so what we did is we basically took the lawsuit and we put it online so everyone could see it. And then we ran full-page ads in all the Swedish morning papers that just said, the dairy industry feels threatened because our sales are up, so they're just bullies and they're suing us. And then we said, Tony, can you stand in the middle of an oat field and sing a song, and then we'll put that on primetime TV? Which, of course, because he's my friend, he did.
It's like milk made for humans. It's like milk that made for humans. Wow, wow, no cow. No, no, no. Wow, wow, no cow. No, no, no. It's all right.
It goes on for a while. And then we thought, wow, this is so much fun. Let's just even antagonize them more. So let's just stick it everywhere, literally everywhere, because that'll really piss them off. So we did. And you can guess what happened. It just took this little unknown food science company in the south of Sweden in the middle of a field and made them one of the most famous, interesting food companies in Sweden. It also took us from $20 million US dollars to $200 million in just a few short years, which is I guess the objective of working for a company. And you can say okay, so this is really easy. That didn't seem so hard, but it's it actually was really hard. This is what we looked like when Tony called me. So that other face of Tony was Tony's calling me. He's John, I'm the CEO of an oat milk company. And I'm a what company? Oat milk. So I said, okay, well, you're on your own on this one. I'm really happy for you. It's a great career move. You made CEO, but fuck, I don't want anything to do with oat milk. Because it sounded like, can we take out the oats? But this is what it looked like. I mean, look, it was seriously the ugliest packaging in the history of the world, especially the chocolate milk with just a handprint. And so I said no, but then I thought, wait a second. Can I kill the marketing department? Tony, I was thinking all the marketing directors and CMOs, they had always ruined my best work. So I'd like been in advertising my whole life, and they just like ruined it. So I thought, okay, this is payback. And Tony, of course, said, sure, I don't care. I mean, what could possibly go wrong if you put creatives in the middle of a food company and then just let them work? And when I said in the middle, we basically go around. There's no marketing department, it's gone. So we just walk around and go into marketing meetings, sales meetings, innovation meetings, product development, supply, like where do we buy our oats from? Production, we're in production meetings, we're in all the meetings. Finance, okay, not finance. And what happens is that there's no need for a brief anymore. Think about it. Why do you have a brief? Why would you brief? Because the creatives are working on a bunch of different brands. You got to give them some context. They got to know what they're working on. You got to get them up to speed. Or the marketing director just doesn't want to see some crazy shit idea coming from left field that you have no idea about. So you brief them. But if you don't have a brief, like we brief ourselves, we do the work, and then we approve it. We created the system ourselves. But what happens is that it builds this massive collaboration. There's no buying and selling. There's no one who's like trying to pitch anything. You're just working on the best idea, and then you're executing it. So it builds up this incredible trust and collaboration in the company. The other thing it does is it lets us focus on basically two things: creating the ideas and then executing them. You know, not like discussing what the CEO might think, because frankly, well, I do care, because he's my friend, and he has a very good opinion. But this is how most people work. Think about it. You got commercial director, marketing director, and then you got a bunch of agencies, and then the CEO sitting in, you know, he's all blocked. You might catch him in the corridor, and then there's this never-ending flow of briefs and debriefs and presentations and all this stuff. It looks something like this, you know. Brand awareness studies, target group analysis. We don't do anything, nothing. You want to know what our target group is? Who cares about what they put into their body? Who cares about having a planet in the future? About 80% of the population. I mean, it's that simple. This is how we work. We're just constantly in briefing mode, constantly looking at things, and when we come up with something that's really interesting, we just put all our attention on focusing. There's no like get it through someone or get an approval, because we approve it. If we don't, if we have a better idea in the process, we change. If the deadlines are approaching too quickly, we move them. And this lets us this is the rebrand actually when it came back. It means that we can hand draw everything, because we actually hand draw everything. And we can just make all kinds of little films whenever we want, like this one. Or this one. And our thought was just put the package in front of people so that they actually see it, so they know what it is. And the other thing that we learned is, because creatives tend to have an opinion, that we actually could have an opinion. It was a good thing. What it would do is it would make us feel less like a corporation and more like just a group of people helping other people. So we put this opinion all over our packages, because we didn't have a budget. This was our only outdoor media at the time. And we said, this is what we believe in. If you read that, you'll find exactly what the company believes in. Or it takes, brains to be stupid. It's pretty stupid to put not only what's in your product, but where it comes from, because all of a sudden each country has politics behind it. But we thought, why not? People have a right to know what they put into their body. I wrote to the Prime Minister here, and he never wrote back, or she never wrote back. But you never know. But what this does is, again, it makes us superhuman, or not superhuman, but it makes us human and not a logo. And that builds up this trust with consumers. The other thing that happens is we don't have to work in campaigns anymore. We can actually become a voice. And when I say become a voice, it's we can make things for people instead of making things for target KPIs, ROIs, and USPs. I pretend not to know what those acronyms mean. I don't really care. They're totally useless. I'll show you a KPI. We only have one KPI later. But We don't use any of these. And what happens is that we can be ourselves wherever we go. Think about it. So you're launching your brand in Holland. Maybe I need to think what the Dutch people are going to be like and how they'll like me, or do I just walk in there and be myself, like I've always been, and we can run any campaign anywhere. So it changes things a lot. Here's our voice. Some of you have seen it. We've been around London quite a lot, but this is just some different outdoor from. Again, remember, it's an oat milk. It's really hard to give a USP if people don't care. And this is the one that will never get through any marketing director. You mean you're going to say the same thing 42 times? What it also does is that because we got sued, we're like prepared for absolutely everything that could possibly happen, which means that anything that happens allows us to flip it. Again, we're not sitting there with like all these kind of marketing plans that we're like locked into. So when the dairy industry last year said, okay, these guys, we're tired of them. They're just little oat punks. We've got to put an end to this. They did this huge campaign with a series of commercials making fun of plant-based milks, making fun of oat-based milk, making fun of us. So it's a giant milk war going on in Sweden. And what it was is they called things like in Swedish milk is mjölk, so they called this brölk or pjölk. They just changed the first letters and thought it was pretty funny. And then it's just someone doing something really corny, and then it ends with only milk tastes like milk. But because we know how to flip everything, we just thought, oh, okay, those are really nice names. Oh, wait, they forgot to register those names. Well, we'll just register those names and own them, and then we'll just put it on the front of our packaging. Because it's like if you call us an idiot and we call ourselves an idiot, then I guess we're not an idiot. The other thing it does is like, most of you know, like, especially if you're working in advertising and you've got a client, you know, like, you maybe do one thing great. Like, you do a really great campaign, but the shelf wobbler in the store really sucks, so it doesn't sell. And this is our biggest strength, is because we own everything. Like, it also means it's our biggest weakness because we have to do everything. But it's like we own every single part of the process. So that means that there's no reason for anything to fail. We have like the total holistic approach to everything. So the shelf wobbler becomes just as important as the Instagram post or the TV commercial or whatever. Everything's of equal weight. It has to work completely together. The other thing is we end up making stuff that marketing departments would never make, because they make marketing, but we don't really care. We can try to find ways to change agriculture or something. One of the first things we did is, the inside of the packages, we have some yogurts and some creme fraiches, and they were just white. So we figured when people were done, Jenny at the time, she didn't have a boyfriend. So I thought, I can help you find a boyfriend. So I just wrote this little ad for Jenny, She's like, what do you want? A guy who likes puppy dogs or something. And she literally got hundreds and hundreds of people. This is a Norwegian with his man cave trying to get Jenny's attention. Which I thought was a really good use of time and paper. And here's another one. It's just like, I got a bike, I got a donut machine, I got 10 kilograms of barbells. I also have 342 issues of National Geographic at home from the 1990s, so just let me know if you want it. And it all kind of came to me. And so we started sending out the National Geographics. We don't even have distribution in Lithuania, but I just thought it was great, return on investment. How do you calculate that? Because everything costs 10 pounds or something. But think about it. Someone in Lithuania gets the 1994 April National Geographic, the Everglades, from an oat milk company. They're going to remember that forever. And they're going to tell everyone in Lithuania, so one day when we get there, I just thought, well, that's fun. And I got rid of my National Geographics without throwing them. Another thing, the more serious thing that happens is that if you think about it, the nutritional panels on the sides of food in the United States, it was legislated in 1994. So before that, there was no need for people to write what was on the inside. It's the same now. We want to make good climate decisions, but how do we know what is a good climate decision? So this idea came from, I think it was our media guy. He's like, why don't you just put the climate footprint right on the package? Brilliant. But what does that take? Marketing department people are thinking, 4 or 5 years, change the paper, change this. Who's the independent resource who's actually going to do the calculations? But because everyone's working together with us, we could put the climate footprint as one of the first, if not the first company in the world on the package, and that potentially can change things drastically. Already now we see the Swedish online retailer demanding that from the companies that want to sell on their site. And think about H&M or Zara or fashion or anything. Think if you knew the value of the footprint of what you were doing. So as you can see, a lot of these things that we're doing, it's just they're too risky, too complicated, they're too time-consuming. They're not focused on sales. To be super honest, I don't really have any interest in sales. I mean, I do, because that makes the company go round, but we're more in it to have some sort of positive impact to change society in a positive way. And when you have that view on things, it becomes very obvious. And we can't track anything we do because we're not interested in it. So the last point I was going to say is, when you have this setup, you stop playing the game. I personally think, and I hope it's just not myself, but I think that creatives have this anti-authoritarian nature where we just want to rebel, and usually it's against a manager or a boss, or oftentimes it's against the client, which is evident in this whole presentation. But I thought you could actually use this anti-authoritarian nature for good. So that means you could challenge all the industry norms and actually help to drive societal change. So if you think about it, this is pretty important. Meat and dairy industry are responsible for 14.5% of all global greenhouse gases. That's all airplanes, cars, go-karts, boats, whatever, everything combined. So if you want to make a small change, you don't have to totally go out, you can just change that a little bit. The good thing is, and this is the one thing that helps us get some credibility when we're talking sustainability, is that it's 70% less of a carbon footprint for every liter of oat milk than milk. So just buying our product, and not everyone can say this, but just buying our product turns out to be this win for the planet. Now, KPI time. So is this a success? As soon as we launched in the US, it just took off like crazy. And so you think wow, we're making it in America. It's so amazing. But then you realize we can't make enough oat milk because we didn't expect the demand to be so high. So what happened is all these coffee shops that adopted it quickly turned around having to put signs in their window that said there's a national oat milk shortage. You're thinking okay, now we're supreme, it's really cool, scarcity is good. But it turns to be a problem if you don't, how do you build a factory? It costs 9 or 10 months. They'll tell you it takes 10 months to build a factory. It takes about 14. And what do you do during the meantime? But when you start to live with that, when you actually realize that, wait a second, okay, we're never going to be able to make enough oat milk because times are changing and the demand is so high, then you maybe realize that basically, yeah, the system kind of worked. That's Tony at home cleaning some cobwebs off his. Thank you.